I thought a good way to start this would be by talking about what some of the most common causes of back pain are. And a lot of them are either going to come from just like your lifestyle, and that's going to be things like muscular imbalances from sitting all day. That kind of falls in with the sedentary lifestyle stuff. Having a weak core whenever you are trying to lift something, if you're using improper techniques, you can end up hurting yourself. And just chronic tightness after a while is going to start to cause some back issues. And then you also have some injuries. So things like herniated discs, strains, which we mentioned is the most common thing with whenever you're trying to lift something with bad form. You got sciatica, scoliosis, arthritis, all that kind of stuff. So the good news about all of it is that the solution to it is to make a stronger back and to improve your flexibility and range of motion with just the basic movements that you can do with your back. So, do you have any questions on that part so far? Abby?
No.
Beth, any questions?
Nope.
All right. So I'm just going to go through a couple of my favorite exercises and stretches and kind of combination for both of those, for both mobility and for strengthening. So as far as the stretches go, I like doing like child's pose when you're sitting down, hands up, and you're really trying to decompress the spine. So that is a lot of what you need when you are having back pain is just getting that pressure off. And that's going to be things like child's pose. If you can hang from a bar or something like that, or you don't even need to be hanging, you can just kind of like support yourself on the counter and just relax your core, let your legs drop and decompress your spine. That's something I do a lot whenever my back's bothering me. But a lot of the time when I notice my lower back in particular, it is because my hips are tight. So a lot of the stretching I do for my back is actually like hip stretches. And so that's going to be things like this, the 90-90 where you're sitting and you got your leg out in front of you at 90 degrees, off to the side at 90 degrees, and then this one is off to the side and bent. And all you're doing is switching back and forth. This is a great warm up. It's not so great for getting a deep stretch, but this is something to work up to. But there's a lot of people that need to do it even back. And as you get better, the goal is to start leaning forward more and more and to be able to switch back and forth without using your hands. All right, that's going to be great for hip mobility. But as far as actual stretches go, I like to do this like figure four stretch where you are crossing your leg like that. And you're going to feel this coming up through the back of that leg. And also hug it to your chest and kind of pull over to the side. This is going to get your glute a lot. Can you still see me okay? Okay. All right. Probably my favorite though is I will sit cross-legged and lean forward. This is going to stretch like your hamstrings where they connect into your glutes. And then you can also go to the side like this, which is probably my favorite part because it gets from the outside of your hip all the way up towards your ribs. And I noticed that whenever my sciatica is flaring up or something like that, this is what helps me the most, just trying to loosen up my hips and get everything realigned the way it's supposed to be to take the pressure off that nerve. far as exercises go, one of the best ones to start with is just static exercises. That's gonna be stuff like planks from every position, front plank, side plank, doing things that make it a little more awkward for you, like having one hand up and offset. So I'm kind of gonna include bird dogs in this. You know what the bird dogs are, where you are on your hands and knees, going opposite hand, opposite leg. That's creating the instability, but still requiring your core to support yourself. And just things like a single arm plank on both sides, anything you can do to create that little extra bit of instability, you're gonna feel it in your core. All right. So one thing with this is that I try to include an exercise for each side. All right. So like your spine bends forward, it bends back, it goes side to side, and it twists. So I try to include a movement or I try to include an exercise for each of those movements. So the plank was the static front. A good static for your back would be if you just hold something out in front of you. And this could be like a front carry with some kind of a weight. You could do it as like a Zercher hold or a Zercher squat. That's gonna help strengthen your entire posterior chain the whole way down your back. All right. Deadlifts are good for the hinge. And I know a lot of people can get injured with those, but as long as you are doing it with good form to start with, you shouldn't have any problems with it. Just start light and stick with something that you can do for more reps. All right. Once you get basic deadlifts down, you can upgrade to doing it with a single arm or a single leg, which comes back to that idea of adding in the instability and the balance, which is really going to challenge your core over everything else. All right. So another one that a lot of people tend to neglect is the hip flexors. And sometimes if you are having back pain, it's coming from weak hip flexors. So that's going to be things like,
Rock,
yeah,
sorry, could you just go back and give a few cues on doing the deadlift properly?
let me go grab a bar real quick.
Well, okay.
All right. You see me okay?
Yes.
All right. So when you're doing the deadlift, it's going to be this side form that you want to be looking at. So if you can do it kind of standing perpendicular to a mirror, you can watch yourself, although ideally your head would be straight forward, or you can take a video from the side and watch that to kind of correct your form. But when you're doing it, the goal is to keep your back perfectly straight, okay? And a couple of cues for that are you want to keep your shoulders back and your chest up, all right? And you want to keep the bar as close to your center of gravity as possible, all right? So it should be going straight up and down, not like coming out like that and back up. It is a straight up and down motion. I try to do this by letting this knuckle of my thumb rub up my shin and then kind of skip over my knees and then the sky and then my thighs. So that's how I know that it's in the right position because it is rubbing up the entire way. And then if you watch the bar, It is a straight up and down motion.
So
Right.
Brock, I see that you're bending your legs. When we do it in class, we're usually it's straight legs. So should we not be doing it straight leg or?
So straight leg deadlifts are more for your hamstrings. All right, they're still really good, but that would just be like that instead. And then squeezing your hamstrings and glutes to come up. But with this, if you're going heavier, you're gonna bend your legs like that. Because what this is meant to do is it's basically the motion of picking something up off the floor, right? And everyone says lift with your legs, not with your back. All right, so that's going to be bending down to pick something up. All right, so it's also a very practical movement for just doing things throughout your life. All right, and then as far as the single hand goes, I'm using a kettlebell for this. You can use a dumbbell, you can use a barbell, but this is going to be kind of aiming for that center. And if you can watch my shoulders, you've seen a little bit of twist here when I'm coming down, and then it straightens when I come up. All right. And this is that extra instability I was talking about for just hitting your core a little harder than you would if you were holding that perfectly centered with both hands. Okay. You can also do it the single leg, where you're kind of going like that. All right. This is going to add more balance than core strength, but it's going to be really good for strengthening, especially the leg you're standing on. So if you're having hip issues and you think that might be what's causing the back pain, this has helped me a lot with fixing those. Is there anything else you want me to hit on that, Mom?
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. Okay. So as far as the hip flexors go, it's going to be this muscle here. And a lot of people have very chronically weak and tight ones from spending all day seated. They just end up getting shortened and they can atrophy, and that can cause muscle imbalance around the pelvis, which is going to kind of wrench your spine in a way that it shouldn't. So you can do things like the lying leg raise, where you are on your back and lifting up like this. This is going to hit the core, but it's also hitting the hip flexors. You can do that same thing hanging, but probably the best way to do it, I'm not going to be able to do it with this 60-pound kettlebell, but I'll put like a 15 or 20-pound kettlebell. I'll stick my foot through the handle and then lift up like that. All right. And that's going to be a great way to strengthen your hip flexors if you feel like they are weak, or you want to warm them up before stretching them, because chances are they're super tight. All right. And the last one is going to be anything with the twisting motion. So that would be like Russian twists. You can do the wood chops, where you're taking a band or even a kettlebell or a dumbbell and lifting up like that, or anything with that kind of rotation movement. So you want to strengthen your spine in that motion as well. All right. Now I got 3 more, and these are a mixture of both the flexibility and stretching and a strength exercise. All right. So these are ones that you kind of, well, especially the weighted ones. So this first one I'm going to show you is windshield wipers. And this is really good for the twist, because it also gets you stretching through a 4 range of motion. So you're going to be on your back with your hands out to the side, legs up, and then you're going to rotate all the way to the floor.
and I just felt my back crack on that one. So as long as you are keeping your shoulders straight to the floor, you're getting a great stretch through your lower back just from this range of motion.
And it's really good for strengthening your core in that kind of movement, in that twist movement. It's probably my favorite twist. All right. So next we have Jefferson curls, which are similar to a deadlift, except whereas with a deadlift, you are keeping your back straight the whole time, like this. The Jefferson curl, you are intentionally gonna round your back, all right? And this is one that you wanna start with a light weight. And basically what you're gonna do is you're just gonna let the weight pull you down, so you are collapsing forward and let your spine round as much as you can. All the way down. So if you need more range of motion, you can either do it standing on a box, you can do it holding a different grip so that your hands can go lower. You can use a barbell with it held in your elbows like this, coming down. And you're also going to get a great stretch through your hamstrings before slowly rounding up all the way. So that's one you want to take light to start with. Because if you're not ready for it, it is going to cause more discomfort to your back than fixing it. But I think that's probably the best one of these for fixing at least your thoracic spine. As far as the lower back, the lumbar, I really like this one. And this is seated good mornings. So you're going to be sitting with your feet out at about 90 degrees so that you can fit right down the middle. And what you're doing is you are leaning forward, keeping your back straight. And this is a great hip stretch. And whenever you're doing this with enough weight, you're also going to feel it in the lower back. All right.
Brock, if you don't have a barbell, can you do that holding like dumbbells in your hands, or what would be a good alternative with if you don't have a barbell?
Dumbbells, you can do it with a band. I actually really like the band because it increases as you come up. Band is probably a really good way to start if you are not sure of this.
So how would you do it with a band? Like put it around your feet and arms?
Put it around your feet and then up over your neck. All right. So you basically be holding on to it like this and just let the band pull you down. And I really like doing that because you can use a stronger band, which is going to make it heavier at the top, but lighter at the bottom when it's fully extended. So that's a good way for a lot of people to start. All right. But you're going to feel that right here at the very bottom of your lower back, the very top of your pelvis. And the stretch is going to be kind of through the inside of the thigh, inside like hamstring. So you can do it like that. I try to avoid putting the weight on my back because there's something about when you have the weight on top of you, your body's a little extra resistant to going for a full range of motion because it doesn't want to get like crushed, right? But so that's why I like holding the weight below me, and I'll let it pull me. And if I, for some reason, go too far with that, all I got to do is let go and I come back up. Whereas if it's on my shoulders, it's trying to like roll forward up my neck while I'm doing this, and it's just not very comfortable. All right. Do you have any favorite exercises, Mom?
That was really good coverage, Brock.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I think it was really good.
Okay. Abby, any questions? Do you have any questions, Beth?
No, I actually do a lot of those already. Well, and of course from the fitness center,
Yeah.
but there's last few at the end, I hadn't seen before, and also the one where you're sitting cross. Like I do that a lot, sit cross-legged, but I never thought to like do the turn to the side. So I'm looking forward to trying that one out. So
Yeah. Yeah, so with that one, what I try to do is I will grab right toes with right toes, left hand on left knee, and kind of push myself away. And the goal with this is you want your spine to kind of hyperextend around like that as opposed to leaning straight from the base. All right. So you are trying to force it into a curve, sideways curve. All right.